Hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome along to post-match reaction here on the Rangers Rabble Podcast, brought to you by the Rabble Network. Just as well, by the way, that we didn't spend like 30, 35 million in the summer and had like a 20 million net spend, because, I mean, imagine getting worse if you'd spent that amount of money. I'm not raging about the night. We played a team that was just much better than us. What worries me is the fact that we've brought in players to this football club who we've brought in an £8 million striker who's got zero composure and looks as though it's his first few weeks playing the game. We've brought a boy in for Luton who just wants to walk about with the ball at his feet. We've got a left back who is that young that he needs to be. He's already late home. And that's our only left back at our football club. And when he's off it, and there's no support for him. Max Aaron's done okay at left back. Max Aaron isn't a left back. We've spent 30 odd million, and we only have one left back who's an 18-year-old on loan. And tonight just showed you where we are at as a team. We are so far behind where we've been in recent years. It's actually quite scary. And we've spent a fortune to get there. It's really, really worrying. Really. Roma, good team, very good team. Didn't really have to work that hard to beat us. We didn't really lay much of a glove on them. I'm pretty sure if we stepped it up, they'd have been able to step it up as well. They were just a better team. But It's really worrying for us. Really worrying. Hello, by the way, my name's Martin, and I am joined tonight by Connor and Kenny, and we're going to sink our teeth into our 7th straight European defeat. Oh, how times have changed. Wasn't that long ago, by the way, that, believe it or not, that Rangers team, not that team, but our club was in a European final. Oh, how times have changed. Connor, how are you?
I'm not too bad. Obviously disappointed with the result. Another just poor performance in Europe, and that's not a sentence that we've said very often over the last number of years. I mean, even as bad as it ever got domestically, we've always turned up in Europe. Thursday nights under the lights at Ibrox. I mean, that's what it was all about. Not to be this season at all. 7 straight defeats, as we were talking about before we came on the air. An average score, an aggregate score, of 19-3 against us. Tells you all you need to know about the problems. We're not scoring many goals up top, and we're shipping goals for fun at the back. I tell you, I mean, we'll obviously get into it, but the nature of some of the goals we concede, I mean, it's absolutely, it's not even schoolboy level defending, because I wouldn't insult, schoolboy football by suggesting that they would defend that poorly. That's how bad it actually is at times, particularly for corner kicks. I put zero blame on Danny Rule, by the way. Some people might. For me, the man's been in the door since the 20th of October.
That's not going to last long, Connor, by the way. That isn't going to last.
It's not going to last long, but look at what he's got at his disposal here, Martin. We can't expect him to work miracles with the draw that's been handed to him. I place the blame squarely at the door of Kevin Thelwell. He is the man that's brought in all of these players. He's the man that is the reason we've got one left back and he's so young. He's the man that we've spent £8 million on useless Chermiti, when we could easily have spent that money far better on bringing in much better quality than that. He's the one that has to take the lion's share of the blame for this. Now, yes, you can obviously talk about Danny Rall's tactics. Should he have been, going with a 3, or should he have done whatever? I get that. Should Chermiti be starting? I don't think he should. I don't really know why he is. But, for me, the only striker we've got you could start right now is probably Danilo, because Miovski's absolutely piss poor at the moment as well. Danilo at least looks like he's giving you a good effort when he's on the park. He's trying things. They don't always work out. Whereas Chermiti, I mean, there again, he's played through twice and doesn't even test the goalkeeper on either occasion. It's not acceptable. But I think, we were pretty much out of Europe before tonight anyway. make the 12 points left to play for. We'll be lucky to get one. So I think we just have to focus now squarely on the league and somehow getting a result at Dens Park, because that's not going to be an easy game either.
Nothing's an easy game right now for Rangers, Kenny. But by the way, hello, Kenny. How are you doing? Tonight, it's one of those ones. See if you're just beat by a better team, Kenny. You're beat by a better team, right? I don't think Roma were fantastic tonight by any stretch of the imagination. I thought they played well. They done a few things nice, but they didn't have to try to score against us. I think that's probably the frustration of the game the night, Kenny. And they let us have a lot more time on the ball than I thought they would. I think that showed probably how comfortable that they were. But again, mate, when you've spent over 30 million, 20 million net spend, and the majority of your defence is on loan, what are we expecting?
God knows. I don't mind people saying we get beat by a better team, but I really, really, honestly can't stand the fact if you make a team, make it easy for a team, especially we've no offence to them, right? But we've no really got the quality of playing three at the back. It's a good system with the right clientele, but when you've not got the right clientele, it's no. Even one of the chances they had, the ball come into the box. It was the one Barron cleared from the goal line, and you seen Tavernier gone in where Soapy was already there and Barron was already there to one guy, and the fellas behind him clear as a bell, getting a free hit. It's all that kind of stuff. We can't beat. Listen, Giga's got his own problems, so we can't play three at the back for a start. It was a big, massive change when we played four at the back. It was less chances they had, and when they did have the chances, they had to use their better players than us because they had to up their game to get by the four, which gave us more space on the wings and in the middle. But some of your passing was poor. I know Connor was saying Danilo's the only one you can play up front, but he was garbage tonight and all. I'm going to be really brutally honest. We have no strikers, mate. We have no get two chances, get one goal strikers. We've no got them, unfortunately. It's really worrying because you're looking for that, right? So I says to my wee two boys were talking about the Rangers, right? And he says, who was your favourite player, Aldo? My wee boy says to my big boy, says, the El Buffalo, right? Quickly he says, who's your best player now in that squad? And my oldest boy actually stopped dead and went, I don't think I've got one. So it just shows you that nobody really has. We haven't got that player that just would sparkle and bring other players into the game and grab the game by the scruff of the neck. And if you amalgamate that with the dross that we've brought in, it's really difficult. I'm not going to blame Danny Rowe either. And you're right, Martin. I agree with you totally. It will get tiring. But see, right now, he has brung that dross up a level a bit to show heart and determination. So I would rather him get some sort of transfer one day and then start blaming him. I just think that he must be like every manager we've ever spoke about for the last I don't know how many months. They're telling him what to do. They're training him what to do. They're going out and doing the opposite. And you're like, this is getting tiring, eh? This is getting really tiring. I don't think Roma were at their best. I think we made it easy for them to walk through us whenever.
They had a good few players out, Kenny. They had a good few.
Dybala
was out. Evan Ferguson was out. They had a few players out. But can I just bring up this comment? I know this is a reaction to the game, right? But I want to bring up this comment because I think it's interesting. Scottish football has been left behind. We are miles and miles away from the standard. Women's football will be more funded and popular soon enough. Sad stuff, right?
Nonsense.
Now, I think part of that's true in terms of Scottish football being left behind a lot of the other European leagues because of how Scottish football has been run, about decisions that have been made within the game, about how other clubs, and I include Rangers in this as well, have acted throughout the years. I think there's a hatred within Scottish football towards itself. I think that kind of just presses a self-destruct button and doesn't help in any way, shape, or form. But Connor, this whole Scottish football has been left behind. Now, the majority of that will get fired at Rangers and Celtic because of how poor we've been this season, how poor Celtic have been for many, many years in Europe. what happened to us coming back up through the leagues and the fact that we are now an embarrassment in Europe. What I don't think can get lost in all that is whenever any other Scottish team got into Europe, they could have been playing an amateur team for the 4th tier in Lithuania and they were getting beat. It's not all on Rangers and Celtic.
No, of course it's not. And you have to look at the other sides and think, well, okay, you've underachieved as well. It's Motherwell a couple of seasons ago getting put out at home against, was it Cork, I think, for Ireland? That's unacceptable. Even for Motherwell, you have to be winning those games, so that doesn't help. Listen, there is a major problem right now for Scottish football. There's no getting away from that because the coefficient is tanking. It is sinking faster than the Titanic at the moment because the 3 teams that are in group stage football in Europe are massively underperforming. I don't care when anybody says this so-called Martin O'Neill revolution got slapped back with a real dose of reality tonight about where they're at and where we're at. And that's not me having a dig at O'Neill or them because we're worse. No, exactly. And that's why I'm just pointing out the fact that is what's happened tonight. Aberdeen took a point from their game tonight. I suppose they'll be happy with that. But a point here and there isn't good enough to keep it up. And the fact is that we already have a record in the previous format of the Champions League in terms of the worst campaign in a singular season when we were in there. But we were underprepared for that, and we all accepted that we weren't ready to be in Champions League football at that time as much as we were all loving the fact we were there. We are now heading straight for the iceberg that is the label of the worst ever Europa League team. That cannot, under any circumstances, be allowed to happen. We need to do something in the next couple of matches to make sure we at least don't get that label, because to be the worst ever Europa League team, I think, yes, this season's been poor, but it would not be a label we deserve, because let's be clear about it, over the last number of years, it's us that's been carrying the coefficient almost single-handedly on our back. We're having our worst European season since that Champions League campaign, but we have, we're the ones been to the final. We've been to how many quarterfinals in a row? We're very regularly at that latter stage. Celtic, to their credit, you have to say, did put up a good fist of it against Bayern Munich last season, and they got out of their group phase of the Champions League. But it can't just rely on us or Celtic having the odd good season as well. Other teams have to pull together. Look at Hearts. Hearts last season should have qualified out of their Europa Conference League group. They were playing aside Petrol Cup. They just had to beat them at home. And I know nothing's simple in Europe, but again, these are the clubs you should be able to beat. That Conference League is a golden ticket for the other teams in our league, because they are then going to play sides that should be along the same level as them.
And we're in that next season, but I wouldn't be saying that, because we'll probably be in that next season.
100%. You're right.
So I would just be very careful about what we say about the Conference League. But with all that said, Kenny, right, it brings it right back to where we are right now and where this Rangers team is right now. The fact that we've spent all this money, etc., and this is the football team that has been delivered for us to watch, for us to go and buy strips, for us to get season tickets, for us to buy match day tickets, for hospitality, for European away travels, for trips to Hampden. This is what we are being served up, Kenny. How is that acceptable?
If you want to get a bit deep on it, a lot of folk use football to escape some bad times in their life, and they enjoy watching football. It's going to be a lot harder for folk like that. I'm not going to lose the plot about it. I've seen this story before, and Chelsea is the story. Todd Bowley came in and made a complete arse of it, but he recruited the wrong people in recruitment, the scouting, all the rest of it, spent about £1 trillion. They were going nowhere, they were getting beat half idiots, and now he started to turn it around a wee bit with the right recruitment in the director's box and in the recruitment side of things, scouting networks and all the rest of it, and he's obviously got better advice. So there is hope, light at the end of the tunnel, that maybe Kavanagh starts to put two and two together. This guy's not an idiot, right? Regardless of how pissed off we are and we're looking for folk to blame, it lies at Thelwell's door. Connor said it's straight.
Kavanagh's the one who's also making mistakes every single time he makes a decision.
And again, we're not really privy to that full story up that size of the board. We're just gone by what he's getting fed and he's reacting on the judgment of the people he brought in to do the job for football, because he doesn't know much about that. I think he's made a grave mistake. I think he's starting to learn that these guys are parasites. I think we were looking at a wee thing earlier on. I'm not sure if it was in the Rabble chat. It might have been. They were talking about that Thirlwell's son was involved with 12 players at Norwich and they're rock bottom of the championship. Only second bottom, because of Sheffield Wednesday. So there's where our problem lies. Danny Rowe wouldn't even have been spoke about if there was a good sporting director in there and the right advice getting talked about, because probably Steven Gerrard would have been straight in the door, if no Muscat. So it's amazing we're sitting here with multi-million, billion-pound owners and we're still with the same old sob stories and, the same old podcasts and that. And it's really it's hurtful, man, because you're just like, when do we change this? Where does this come from? We as fans, all the way through for player recruitment, for Clement to Gio to Beale, our fans always knew what was happening straight away and shouted their opinion. And that's wrong. We should be the ones playing catch up with board directors and scouting networks and all that, and we're getting it wrong. But we're the ones that's getting it right. It's fair to say that. We're always getting it right at the minute, that these things are wrong and this thing should change. I'm really disappointed in the recruitment the Rangers have had through Kavanagh. That I do blame him for, because it was plenty of opportunities to tell these guys to just piss off. And he's no done it. He's gave them another chance and another chance. So, devastated that we've not got players that are trying their heart out. I watched Danilo leave a couple of passes off the table tonight, just no bother. His arse chasing them. I watched Hermiti miss open goals. Well, not open goals, but clear-cut chances. I've watched his running. There was a ball that came clean through. He was on his heels. He ended up having to spin when the ball was going by him, as opposed to anticipating that and spinning on an axle and being alongside the ball as it was coming through. Just moronic decision-making that's leading to these silly decisions on the part that we're not getting any goals or we're making drastic mistakes at the back. So there's quite a few things happening, and I'm not talking anywhere, man, because it's just ridiculous.
It is. It's really, really bad. Connor, by the way, you're on mute. But
thanks for that. Yes, I was just saying there, just to quickly come in that. This is the circumstances we're in now. It's not exactly an isolated incident, because for all we speak there about how well we have done in Europe over the last couple of seasons, that's very much been an outlier to what's been going on in the domestic stuff and what's been going on in general terms. We haven't, if we're all being honest about it, had an owner or had someone running the club who's actually been pushing us in a constantly forward trajectory since Dave King left. Since Dave King left the club, 100%. We have constantly gone backwards. Domestically, we've taken massive steps backwards since we won the league and stopped 10 in a row, and we're constantly regressing since then, to the point where we're now not even competing in Europe. That's one of the final steps of that regression, is that when you are not doing the things you were doing, even at your worst times, then you've got problems. Now, we were all hoping in the summer there was an excitement, a buzz about the club, that, despite the disappointments of last season, that we could put that behind us, and we had new owners coming in, the 49ers group and Kavanagh and Parag Marat, and they were going to come in and make the big decisions we needed, give us the cash injections. And unfortunately, they have given us the cash, but they've not given us the right decisions and the right decision makers. Patrick Stewart and Kevin Thirlwell are hopeless. As long as they're at the club, we will go nowhere. Yep. Whatever happens in January, if they're still at the club, we'll end up with the same type of players, no doubt, because that's their market. And then Danny Rule, by the end of the season, will end up being another in a line of managers who have to fall on their sword, in part, not entirely, but in part because those above them haven't got a clue how to run a club the size of Rangers.
Mm-hmm. We can go back over old discussions. Kevin Thirlwell coming out and saying, the only place we really could look was England, because that's the only place we had a network. That's sort of what you're dealing with, and that's how you end up with players like Fernandes for 2 and a bit or 3 and a bit million, who's clearly not good enough to get a game. You've got Asgard, who has offered nothing. Rothwell can't even get in the squad. anymore. You've got Nasser Giga at the back, who actually, after about 10 minutes, looked a little bit more composed than what he has in a Rangers shirt, but still nowhere near good enough. Absolutely nowhere near good enough. Our best centre-back was started on the bench the night in this game. And then you look ahead, Gassama has a wee trick here and there, does some good things, disappears for the majority of the game. Max Aarons has come in, and probably tonight was one of his better performances, and he didn't really do that much, but it was one of his more confident performances, I would have to say. But Kenny, for all the money that's been spent, for all the players that have been brought in, I really mean this. See, right now, I think Raskin, when he's on form, and I've said it before and I keep getting hounded for it, when Raskin's proper prime Raskin, I think he's the best player in Scotland. But right now, the best player in our team's James Tavernier.
Okay. He's definitely the only player in that position you can put there at the moment. But he's got some cracking howlers in him. He proved that tonight again. Mm-hmm. And I feel sorry for him because there isn't anybody else there. Who are you going to play there? Giga? Aarons? He's the best out of what's there. And I'll give him one thing. He gets the ball in the right wing. He'll play it 30, 40 yards usually. But now he's starting to get caught up in the rest of this niche that they're all doing again with passing backwards, passing sideways, going this way. It's just, it's a worry, mate. You're right. You're absolutely right. He's standing out. You know, even Butland and all. I've never liked Butland with his feet. Never.
But Kenny, he's 34-year-old. He's a lot slower than what he was. He was never the best defensively anyway, Tav, right? Great going forward, was never the best defensively. He's not got the same legs that he used to have. He's not the same player that he used to be.
No.
And we've spent over 30 million, and he's our best player right now. See if you're the chairman or the owner looking at that. And that's not just, it's not like we've spent 30 million on 3 players, right? We've brought in like 12 or 14 players. And our captain, who's well past his sell-by date, well past his best days, is our best player. If you're the chairman of the football club, surely you look at that and go, not every signing you get right. Of course you get a few that don't work. That happens at every football club. Not every signing.
No, and you've got to pass the baton on. You've got to have signings that are passing the baton on. You've got to have somebody that comes in that's a genuine talent and Tav's there to learn them. Or, you know, and let's go to the other side of the park, Martin, like you're saying. You've got a wee boy at 19 being left. And it's you know, that comes down to recruitment. It comes down to owners. Like, do these folk no chat to each other? So I'm totally with you with that, because they should be sitting there going like that. Exactly what you said. Hold on a wee minute. Kevin, what's the story with the right back position? Because we've got one player in there and one we're now playing at right wing. And how have we left Magoma out there? He's a wee young boy. He doesn't even know what the size of the club he's just walked into, and you've just left him there with no cover. Or you're going to play Cornelius there. That's a joke. These are all conversations you've got to have, and they're not having them. And they're not putting any money out. So I'm frightened to see what gets made available in January. If I'm really, really honest with you, I'm frightened that it's going to be loan deals and all this kind of shite that we've been getting, you know, because apparently we're quite happy to shed out 8 million for one player. So for 8 million, you get 3 decent players in Scotland. Am I all right? 2 or 3 good players, probably. So I'm with you, mate. I just don't understand how the ailing players, or the players that weren't known as the best players, are now kind of the best of a bad bunch.
And 2 months' time, Connor, the transfer window opens, and we're getting into that with Kevin Felwell and his son.
Scary. And
Dan Purdy and Stenson or whoever. Now, I'm pretty sure Cavan has watched a few games. He's been to Ibrox a few games this season. He's watching that going, right, I need to put my hand in my pocket and we need to spend money. But he's going to give that money to Kevin Thelwell and his boy, Connor. That's where the funds from this takeover, which if you put it in isolation, right, and you said to Rangers fans, by the way, see, even though we're going to sell a fortune worth of players, which we did, was I don't know how much it came to, right? But we got rid of a lot of players and we made quite a bit of money. But we're still going to spend 20 million over what we bring in. See, if you had said that to us at the end of last season, we'd have all went, oh, yeah, beauty. Surely we're going to go on and win the league now. surely, or at least we're going to be right up there and it's going to be neck and neck. And by the way, who knows, by the way, what we can go on and do in Europe? Because look what we have done when we've not really spent that much money in comparative to everybody else. Now we're going into January, Connor, and you're thinking, if Kavanagh comes out and goes, there's a war chest for January, we're all sitting back going, oh no, that's another 2 year added onto a rebuild.
Well, I mean, given that to Thelwell and Son, as you say, I think I'd be feeling more confident if we'd stepped on Son. Because, honestly, this is the problem. You can spend as much money as you like. You can have as much money as you like. It's all about who is actually spending that money. Who is it that's getting that? And it's those two clowns. Now, I would hope and pray that Danny Rule, when he signed on the dotted line to become our head coach, I said manager there, head coach, I hope and pray that as part of that, he did make clear that head coach or not, he has to have some participation in the signings that come in January. Because just handing players to a head coach and saying, on you go, son. I mean, see, at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out and things go wrong in the park, it's the head coach who loses his job. It's the manager who takes it in the neck. And so you have to make sure they have got some ability to have a say over that. Some ability to put the kibosh on signings that they don't want to say, actually, no, I'm having a veto there. There's no way we're bringing them in. You can't keep looking at the English Championship market or the loan market for Premier League clubs of very young players. Now, listen, I will say I think Mikey Moore, probably the most improved player since Danny Rule came in the door. For me, just his overall performance levels. Not necessarily that he's got the quality yet, but you can see he looks brighter than he had done under Russell Martin. And so I think there's something there that you can maybe look at if you wanted to keep him in January. But there's a number of these players that need to go back to their clubs. Guys like Giga, for me, is finished. That guy should be nowhere near a Rangers dressing room. He just shouldn't. But again, as you say, Martin, you're looking at it going, well.
But Connor, neither should Aarons, neither should Thelwell, neither should Asgard. Neither really should this version of Majowski that we brought into the football club. Neither should our 8 million side in Chermiti. Gassama's on very, very thin ice, although he's done one or two things where you would go in amongst better players. Then I could see where Gassama would fit into that. But
yeah, but there's some players who you've got to remember, and I think what we all have to remember is when January comes, yes, the ones that are on loan who are failing, you can get them off the books fairly easily. You can cancel loan deals. They're not that expensive to cancel, especially in January, because there's only a few months left on them anyway. They're easier. Let's be clear, Chermiti will go nowhere in January. Nobody's paying us £8 million for usage.
Did you not hear the rumours, Connor, that Rangers are actually thinking about loaning him out?
Well, do you know what? I mean, if they bring in a decent striker, by that anybody better than Chermiti, which is, I think the boy Sidibe at St Johnston's probably better than fucking Chermiti. But the fact is, if they do that, then yeah, get Chermiti off the books. Send him in loan if you have to, because you're not going to sell him. But if you send him in loan and he has a really good loan spell, you might add a few quid that you can wrestle back for him and cut your losses to a certain extent. But for me, priority one and two in January is we need to buy in a very, for me, a decent striker, an actual proven goal scorer, which we thought we were with Majowski, but this isn't a Majowski who played for Aberdeen. It just isn't. He's sleepwalking through most games when he comes on. And I don't know why or where that's came from. A couple of years ago, you'd have taken your hand off from Majowski. He's not cutting the mustard. So we need a quality striker in the door as quickly as possible. And we need centre-backs and a left-back. They are an absolute must. Because right now,
midfielders and some wingers and a striker, and we need a full team, mate. We need an absolute
team. But to be honest with you, if we brought in quality defenders and a quality striker, I think you could get away with the midfield that we've got personally, because I don't think it's an issue, but I don't think it's the biggest issue that we've got, because there's still you've still got Diamandi, who I think more often than not puts in a good shift for you. Connor Barron, I mean, you know, he was one of the bright sparks today for me. He was putting himself about. He was a bit sloppy at times, but he was, you know, chucking himself into things, trying to win balls back. And Raskin on his day, we know how good he can be as well. And, you know, as a couple of others, Gassama stood up well at times today as well. So there is players there that you can, in that midfield area, go, if we get it right at either side of them, we might be okay. Or we probably would be all right.
I think with the likes of Conor Barron, I think the Roma players were just better than him. I don't think he was poor because he was poor. See, when you're playing against better players, that just shows you the level that we're at. Like Conor Barron in Scotland, no issue. Conor Barron even against Celtic, if it's 11v11 and the refs are fair, don't think there's an issue there, right? But when you go into Europe, I think it shows you the difference in quality. That Conor Barron's nowhere near that. Absolutely miles off it. But again, that's just the level that Conor Barron is. You ready to talk again, Kenny?
I'm brand new.
Right, let's hear for the manager. I'll give you a couple of extra minutes, mate, right? Because I know that you were starting to get a bit riled up and the cage door was getting opened. So let's hear for the manager.
Danny, clearly not the scoreline, the result that you wanted. What did you see on the pitch tonight?
Yeah, I think at first, congratulations to the team from Roma. I think they played very experienced, very adults. They don't need so many chances. We saw this. I think for me in the first half, it was more a little bit a draw. I was not so much in this game, but they were 2 times very clinical. Then we changed something in the halftime to create a little bit more pressure on the ball. I think until minute 75, I think we were in the game. Then you need the momentum where you can score to come back. Yeah, but all in all, they deserve to win.
No
of course,
way.
They did a lot of.
How did he win?
An opening goal, obviously from their point of view, a set piece. It's what every team works on. Is that a frustration that
I need to watch it now.
Tighter at the back?
We spoke about this in the morning. We knew that they have always the first post overloaded and then the second contact. I think in such a game it's important that you are also clinical by set pieces. We have to work on it, of course. But in general, we were in some moments not sharp enough, especially also in our counter pressing. I think this is what we have to improve. I think then second half we find more space. We are a little bit more flexible in our building up, and this is what I like. I spoke to the players. Yeah, this is at the moment this journey what we have. Yeah, we have to make the small steps, and our focus is now on Sunday to take 3 wins in a row in the league.
And small steps, I'm sure you're seeing them, and everybody wants, from Rangers' point of view, wants to see them. It's moments, isn't it? It's moments, as you say, maybe of concentration or loss of possession in a key moment. Those can decide games and often do.
Yeah, especially on this level. Yeah, when you play European nights and European League, then there's about the details and the small things, and you have to do everything right to beat the team who is top in the Italian division. Yeah, this is not easy, but we have to work on it because in the future we want to win such a games at home.
And maybe you're learning about who can do what for you, who allows you to play a certain way, who suits what you want to create for Rangers.
Yeah, I think more and more you get a good overview, good impression now from the players, what you get, and I think this is also helpful for me. It is important. I think when you come in straight in, you have big games ahead, and you have to make decisions. That helps, but for me it's now focus on Sunday, and we want to beat them.
And do you also have to think a little bit already about January and what's possible to help this team, help you?
Yeah, I think we will sit together in the next couple of weeks, of course, what we can do, what is possible, but the focus now is on the next game, and then we will see.
Oh, he's focusing on January, all right. Just say thanks. Connor, was that you that muted me, by the way? Thank
It
you
was
very
a
much.
boy. Yes.
I didn't realise I wasn't on mute. My missus just came in to tell me who won Traitors. That was all. I won't spoil it. I've barely even watched it, and she came in so excited.
Was it Kevin Thelwell by any chance, Martin?
Well, no, he completed it without even going. He's looking at January already.
I beat you to that, Stuart. Sorry, Martin.
I mean, you can sort of see it in his face, Kenny, can't you?
Mm-hmm.
That he's trying to answer those questions with a straight face and not just turn around and go, "What do you want me to do?"
I know. Hey, we'll all sit down together. France. Know what I mean? That was the worst I heard. Let's all sit down together with a bloody guitar and some marshmallows and sing out some fucking strikers that we want. Pardon my French. Away! Just do it yourself. Grow some German balls, man. Just say you're getting nowhere near this team. I'm going to cabinet with them. No way are you getting anything to do with this, because I fancy keeping my job any time next year. Yeah.
I mean, Kenny, just in the short term, Kenny, right? Because we have to look at it, because there's nothing we can do until January. If we look at that first goal the night, again from a set piece, Kenny, you've got, and I know Raskin's pretty decent in the air, but you've got him on the kind of front post as the kind of first line of defence, and then if it makes it past him, nobody else in the box defensive wise for us knows what to do.
You've got. I mean, let's go back to Chermity, man. What height is this guy? And I've never seen him slip one a head in the box going towards goal. We spoke in the podcast quite a lot, haven't we, about we don't really have any type of forward play and crosses, corners. There's never any shots on target with headers anymore, and they set pieces. There's no goals. I mean, Raskin shot foot outside the box, and I swear I fell off my chair. I thought he's going to get into trouble when he goes in that dressing room. What's somebody shooting outside the box for? And that's the first time I've seen long range shots, apart from Chermity trying it and getting the goal. We can't really count. You could probably count in one hand how many times that's been happening, apart from when Gerrard's team was there and you were shooting for everywhere. So set piece is a problem, isn't it? We can't defend them and we can't score with them. So it's a bit of a conundrum for me, mate.
Yeah, and I mean, Connor, again for the first goal, I can't remember actually the boy's name who scored it, so forgive me. But he'd all the time in the world. There was not a Rangers player near him.
Sully, it was at the back post. I mean, yeah, it was unbelievable. Again, not winning the first header at the front post kills you, because that allows the flick on in the first place. Much like Johnny Kenny at the weekend, much like the Kilmarnock game, even though we did go and win the Kilmarnock game. We're not defending set pieces at all. That was, I think, the first corner Roma had in the game. It was one of the first, at least. And it's like we're just not prepared for it. Now, Danny Rule is a decent coach, a good coach. He's worked under some pretty, you'd have to say accomplished sides and managers in his time. So you can't tell me that he hasn't worked on set pieces with our defence. You can't tell me that he's not tried to drill them in dealing with that. And again, they're just all sleeping. Why is Sully alone, free as a bird at the back post for a tap-in? You cannot concede goals like that. You just can't. It is amateur hour. It really, really is. And I mean, look, I know Kenny coaches, youngins, and I'm pretty sure if his team was conceding that goal, a corner kick every week, pretty sure he would have something to say about that. I know, even with the youngins, because that's basic stuff that you've got to get right. And in fact, I think at one point the camera panned to Danny Rule, and I'm pretty sure you could see him mouthing, "This is basic." So he wasn't happy with it either. But there's nothing, when you've got the quality of defender that we've got, who just don't seem to know what they're doing. And again, I go back to it. We have lost some big defenders over the course of the last couple of years. I think a guy like Leon Balogun, for all the injury problems he had, he was tremendous in the air. Connor Goldson, again, another one who's really good in the air, but we've never really replaced that. Philip Helander to a slightly lesser degree, but still, a big lad. He could get up there. We don't really have that now, but and that is a major, major problem. But again, you can't just be standing there. Do you know one thing that was alarming to me though as well, Martin? And I've noticed this as a pattern. After that goal's conceded, see, instead of, you're watching the body language of the players, and you're seeing Butland, you're seeing Tavernier, two of the most experienced guys. See, instead of doing what you should do there and just, rallying the troops up a bit and going, "Listen, lads, just fucking forget it, get back into the game, come on, get your asses up and get into gear." None of that. It's just, it's deflated. It's totally, the balloon has burst straight away. So as much as that is poor, and you can't concede that goal, you also need to react to it better as well. And you need to have that bit of fire in your belly, because you're 1-0 down after 13 minutes at home. By no means are you out of a game of football just because of that, you know. So you need a wee bit of that as well. And we don't have enough of that when we need it at times either, which is equally as alarming. But and I know we'll come on to the second goal shortly as well. Both are dreadful defending from us. And again, for me, Giga, one of the biggest culprits tonight.
But and again, though, if we do go behind, we lose. I mean, Celtic game aside, because obviously we took that to extra time and eventually we lost anyway, but it was other circumstances to that. We lose the first goal, all our players absolutely shit the bed as soon as we lose the first goal. It's been the same now for I don't know how long. And Kenya, that second goal, I mean, I honestly can't. Do you know, this was my reaction to the second goal. So I'm sitting there watching. The boy just floats a lowish cross, and it just goes, and Suter's just like that. Wonder what I'm going to get for Sainsbury's tonight. And the boy just takes it and scores. And I'm just sitting there going, do you know what? I mean, it can't get any more embarrassing. We're past it.
How calamitous was it, man, that your captain is running in to try and header a ball that's already got Barn and Suter on it, and left the guy behind him that's away building a street for bar construction while he's waiting in the ball. It was unbelievable. Mate, I had to watch the replay 3 or 4 times, and I was voice noting my cousin, and just as I was saying the same thing, he was sending the same thing back. He's like, what is Tavernier doing? Stop trying to help folk that are already in the position. Just leave them to it and stay with your man. Or he doesn't get the free, whatever he done, header kick, whatever, and then Barron had
right in between Suter and Tav. It was unbelievable the time and space he had.
Mental. That's where we're falling apart. We do shit the bed after a first goal, but our defence is wobbly, and it's not a coincidence that, listen, Roma's an Italian team, so they'll try and pass all the way up towards your players, right? But some of the teams that we've played in Europe and in the league decide to bypass our midfield with their keeper or their fullbacks and go straight for our defenders. That's the most embarrassing thing for any defender, surely, or any manager watching the defence that he's tried to teach during the week, that folk are just lobbing the ball into the back and letting their big, strong strikers, like, see the likes of that guy for St Mirren, what's his name? Is it Lundunlu or something like that? The big boy for St Mirren. All the kind of players will bully our defenders. Now, John Suter's not a wee boy. He's not a wee guy, and Giga's not a wee guy. They're big guys, but we just seem to be no in sync, no in cohesion. For guys that train 3-4 times a week, to know each other, where they are, and there's no that kind of almost sixth sense with one another. I can't get my head around it, man. I can't get my head around it, because you're training every single week on these things. How many times? See, if you need to tell your defenders that many times to do something and stick to the plan, and they still can't do it, they shouldn't be there, mate. Simple as that.
Right, we've got 10 minutes left, right? Now, I'm going to play you a 2-minute clip, and it's Ali and Alan Hutton with Emma Dodds discussing how long this situation is going to take to fix. Right, I think that's probably a bit more of an interesting conversation we can have for 5 or 10 minutes than discussing any more about this game, because the game hasn't shown us anything that we don't know. So let's take a wee quick listen to this, and then we'll finish the show off with this wee discussion.
It is such a huge window now for Rangers. When given the amount they've already spent this summer to where the team is currently sitting, Ali, I mean, is it even possible to do enough work in January to turn this tanker, as Russell Martin called it, around?
Knows the answer to that. Forget it. Forget one window. Might be 3. Because first thing you got to say, it's not the best window. The January window's not the best window. Right. So that's the first thing you've got to say. And then you've got to balance it. Because you've got to balance the books. You've got to get some of them going in the opposite direction. And nowadays that's easier said than done. So that man, who I think speaks very, very well, and I think should get a good opportunity and hopefully get a few windows, because I like the look, I like the sound of him. I think he clearly knows the game, knows what he's talking about. I genuinely hope he gets the opportunity, but it'll take more than one window, because that's a big job, Emma, big job.
The question is, given what you've seen of the signings that have already come in this summer, do you trust Kevin Thelwell to do another window? We saw the protests tonight again from the supporters. Andrew Kavanagh, the chairman, was here He was here for this game. He said when Danny Rowe was appointed that they own and they will rectify the mistakes that they've made, but that he had complete faith in his senior executives. Do you think that these performances could be changing his mind, given, like Ali's just said, the signings that have come in and the way the team has regressed?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one to answer. I mean, has recruitment been good enough? Absolutely not, in my opinion. It's very difficult to see past that. Should he get another go at the window? I mean, I spoke to the manager last week about this, and he was telling me it was a collective decision between everybody. I was desperate to know if he has the final say and decision on it. That he didn't really answer, to be honest.
That's even more concerning.
Yeah.
If you're telling me that there's 4 or 5 people bringing some of those players in rather than one,
yeah,
that's doubly concerning for me.
So it's a worry for me from what I've seen so far. Coming into this January window, which I think is huge for the club, for it to be solely on one guy, I think that is a lot of pressure to take when you're already under it. Because they need a lot of help. And Coisty's right, it's not going to happen over one window. It's going to be at least 3.
Yep.
Not over one window, Connor, at least 3. So yet another rebuild.
Well, I mean, yeah. Unfortunately, though, when you embark upon a rebuild and you use paper mache, it's going to fall down you, so you're going to have to then build again, aren't you? That's just where we're at. Now, I think this leads back to the point I was saying earlier. It will take a lot of time. It will take, I think, 3 or 4 windows at least. But those improvements are going to have to be gradual. So that's why I was saying earlier, not that we've got a brilliant midfield that doesn't need to be touched, but that in those circumstances, as a manager, a head coach, as a scouting department, you have to prioritise areas of the park, because you have to accept I'm probably not going to get everything that I want in all the areas that I need. So what's my priority areas right now, and making sure that you're picking out the most important areas to try and at least get short-term improvement to build it towards, because you can't do it all in one window. It is impossible to do it all in one window. But you've also got to make sure that you're looking in the right markets. And that includes the Scottish market, by the way. I find it baffling that we have just totally ignored the Scottish market for so many years, with Lyle Cameron and Conor Barron really being the exceptions to that rule. We have had opportunities to sign plenty of decent players at a time when they were playing well, in the Scottish market, and chose not to do it. We could have quite easily had the boy Kieran Bowie at Hibs. You could have had a Lawrence Shankland in there. We should have had Josh Mulligan, but Kevin Thelwell, in all his wisdom, decided, nah, that boy's not good enough. Let us bring in an 18-year-old Jayden McComa who's not got a clue. That's what you're dealing with. And so these are all the things you need to look at it. People mentioning Glenn Kamara, 100%. That's going back a few years now, but 50k was a very good piece of business. Canberry was so with Canberry, and Liam Kelly's in there now. There are exceptions to that rule, but in general terms, I'm talking about big quality players playing in Scotland that we haven't taken that chance on since a Kamara, really, and that is something that takes, as I say, it's going to take time. And that, not just the Scottish market, you've got to look at others as well. Danny Rule is a German. I imagine he knows a little bit about German football. Maybe that's a market he can dip into, because like it or loathe it, what Ange Postecoglou done very well at Celtic, and the reason he got that ball rolling so quickly, apart from the amount of money he had, was he went and looked in a market that he knew well, identified players he knew were good, and he knew were good enough to come in and do a job for him. And that's exactly what he done. He brought in that quality. He went to the Japanese market and he brought in a Maeda, he brought in a Hatate, he brought in a Kyogo. These guys, and I don't like them, but were excellent under Ange Postecoglou at Celtic. We need something similar. We need Danny Rule to reach in and be telling the board, here's the markets. I know these guys are going to be good enough. Forget your English Championship, because I tell you right now, you'll be lucky if you get 1 in maybe 10 players down there that would be good enough to come up. And it's not a dig at Championship teams. It's just the levels, not necessarily the level of the league overall, but the levels in terms of us as a club and clubs who sit sort of mid-table in the Championship is night and day. And so it will take I think probably 4 windows. The trouble is at Rangers, you can't wait 4 windows to start winning games of football and winning things. So it's going to have to be a gradual improvement that we start seeing.
It's the same conversation, Kenny, that I think we've had 1,000 times. And I don't really know how many ways that we can say it any differently than what we've said it, other than me literally just uploading old videos instead of us doing these reactions anymore. I mean, Emma Dodds talks there about, asks McCoist and Alan Hutton, can you trust Kevin Thelwell? Now, they two are not going to stand on TNT Sport and say no. They're not going to say it. But it's blindingly obvious that you can't trust Kevin Thelwell.
Well, they've asked the question live on TNT Sports. That's when you know there's a problem. When that level of people watching, they've decided to just oust it. And even they're thinking about it. Ali's thinking about it. But unfortunately for me, Connor, and Martin, I don't think they're going to get. He's not. There's going to be some restraint on him again. January. This guy's got an ego problem. I know. You know what I mean? This isn't going to change any. Don't be kidded. He's not going to let Danny Rowe run away to Germany or the second tier in Germany, or he's going to have restraints on it. He's going to give his idea. You heard these words, Danny Rowe. He'll let you know straight away. He says, we're all going to sit down. How much of a percentage that he has on that pie chart of decision making? No sure. It'll be more than Russell Martin, clearly. Mm-hmm. But it'll still be more majority on Thelwell and his son, because that's what they're there for. Judging by past histories with ex-clubs and Rangers Football Club, it's not been great. So I'm frightened a wee bit that we've got the capabilities financially, we've got the muscle, we've got forward thinking, but we're making really big mistakes in the information that Cavan is getting for these people. It's not cohesive between Cavan and Thelwell, and if it is, then Thelwell, your credibility is getting taken away with Rangers fans, because if you're allowing to be persistent, if you're allowing this to persistently go on, and we get to January and this happens again, then it's going to start moving us on to Thelwell and Kavanagh, not just Thelwell, because he's allowing it as well. So then you start getting attacked, walking into stadiums and getting, you've got to talk to us. So I think it was RFC Nation put up there all the players. It was Scottish like Caniggia, Novo, Whittaker, Naismith. You could go on and on and on.
Thompson.
Aye, they players don't know exist. They're still there, they type of players, but you've got to have the recruitment and the balls to go and do it and develop them into these type of players. But I'm a wee bit, Martin, I'm a wee bit frightened for January, if I'm really honest with you, because I don't know what control the guys got. So
I'm terrified for January. And as Lockeye Reviews put in a super chat, thank you very much, Lockeye, big supporter of the channel. Andrew Kavanagh must be wondering why he put 8 million into Shermissy. He will not be judging Danny tonight. He will be judging the man who signed these players. Hopefully, the regression is frightening, which is what we are talking about right now, Connor. And is he judging Thelwell or is he blindly trusting him? Because at what point do we as supporters turn around and go, right, well, we as pleb supporters who have normal jobs and who have families who don't, the background stuff with Rangers, the scouting with Rangers, they're going out and talking to players that we want to bring in to the football club. We don't have a clue how that works, right? We don't know how to do that, right? But we can all see that Thelwell has badly failed at his job. So how can a multi-billionaire not see it?
Well, I mean, I don't know that it's necessarily he's just blindly trusting Thelwell. I think, Patrick Stewart is the other factor of this that's probably in his ear as well. And he's probably, listening to what he's got to say in the tour. And by the way, it's not just Kavanagh. We keep talking about Kavanagh. Where's Parag Marat? What's he doing?
He only owns one.
Doesn't it matter? I totally get that. But he's on the board. And when they come into the club, he was one of the people who got put out and wheeled out in front of us. So you'd think he has an opinion on this, regardless of how much he owns. But you're right, Kavanagh's obviously the main man. I'm just making the point. I don't know what he sees. I mean, for me, you cannot talk about, where we understand the mistakes we've made and we will rectify them. well, then you need to rectify the biggest mistake you've made, which is Kevin Thelwell, straight away. That he has to go. Allowing Kevin Thelwell to bring in his son as well is just absolutely ridiculous. And then followed very, very quickly by Thelwell and his son should be Patrick Stewart, because Patrick Stewart has spent more time stoking up division in our fan base and attacking us as fans than he actually has on getting things right at the club. This is the same guy that said not long after he first came in the door that, you know, Philippe Clement had his full backing and he was fully behind him, and that you can't keep changing managers and you need to stick with it and stick the course. Within a couple of months, results did not improve. They were getting worse under Clement, and he eventually, because of the fan pressure, had to pull the trigger. But fans were telling him prior to that it was that time, because we can see the writing on the wall. It's the same with Russell Martin. Russell Martin should never have been appointed in the first place. But very, very quickly, it was abundantly clear that he had absolutely no idea, not a Scooby-Doo, what he was doing. And again, it took Patrick Stewart and Thelwell far too long to see that. And it sounds like Kavanagh is equally taking as long to see what we're all seeing with Thelwell at the minute. I mean, this is a guy who has spent at two clubs 23 million quid on Chermissy, as Lockeye Review calls him. Make that make sense, Martin. Make that. No. What on earth is he seeing that we are not also? What is it? You know, does a guy score 50 goals in training or something? Because I don't understand. I really don't. I find that he's had more money spent on him than years he's been alive. I can't get it when he's not done anything to earn that type of price tag, in my opinion. But I do think, just to finally sum up, what we need to do first and foremost is you need to build a squad to compete domestically and start chasing and winning league titles again. Then Europe starts taking care of itself. Very much domestic is the priority. Building for Europe becomes secondary to that, because there's no point in going, oh, well, we'll keep doing well in Europe if you're constantly shipping league titles and trophies here. We need to be winning things.
Yeah, we absolutely do. Lockeye, thank you very, very much. Our very own Stephen Robertson, man down under, who got up at 4 a.m. to watch that. Sold them for peanuts. Thelwell replaced them with roasted. It'd be better if you'd said roasted nuts, but you said roasted peanuts. You're Australian, I'll let you away with it, Stephen. Right? But yeah, I mean, I don't really know how much more we can talk about Thelwell, but yeah, you're absolutely spot on, Stephen, mate. Thank you for the support, my friend. Gemini, it's clear that Thelwell and Stewart have never played Football Manager. I've spoke to a few people who have bought the game, and they've actually spent $2.5 million sacking Thelwell straight away from the game. Which, when you start off with Rangers, you don't get a lot of money, so that's a lot of money just to sack a guy in a game.
I think what we all need, Martin, for catharsis in this channel is we need a Martin Douglas Football Manager career on this channel, and we can see you steadying the ship and making the decisions that need to be made.
I'm usually sacked before November.
Well,
you're in my game.
I'm usually sacked before November. Gemini, thank you very, very much for the super chat. And Stuart Henderson, I mean, Gerrard, Gattuso, Ferguson, Weir, Souness, box. I think that's meant to say box office. How far we've fallen that is, you know what I mean? That's where we are now, but that's who we've got round about our football club. Stuart, thank you very, very, very much. Right, folks, I think that will do us for tonight. I'm back tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. across on the Rabble Network to take your calls. No doubt on the game last night, on where we are as a football club, and anything else that you want to talk about. If you are a member, for as little as £1.99 per month, you can get 4 phone-ins in the morning, 3 shows in weekdays, and then we've got 2 or 3 shows at the weekend as well on at night time, along with wrestling, along with extreme gaming, along with EPL shows, the lot. So if you want to help Rangers Media out, which we're going to really need help moving forward, then consider joining the Rabble Network. Now, links are in the description, YouTube or Patreon. Everything's live on YouTube and then uploaded after that to Patreon. Kenny, Connor, thank you very much for joining me and lasting an hour after it's just crap, isn't it? It's just utter crap. Thank you for all the super chats, comments, like, share, subscribe. Before you all jump out, if you haven't already, hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Really helps us out. And then once the show's finished, if you can, just nip back onto the stream and hit hype. It apparently helps out and helps us get seen by more people. So hype the show as well. So everybody, away you go to your bed so you can get up nice and early for work tomorrow and go in all happy, because we're all going to be happy tomorrow. So thank you, Connor. Thank you, Kenny. Thank you, everybody. We'll speak very, very soon.